Yes, folks, welcome to Fundamental Wisdom Podcast, episode 7. On this podcast is where we ask the questions that you want the answers to and discuss ideas in order to help you level up to your highest self. We have practical discussions to help you level up physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. And on this episode, I'm honored to be joined by a very, very special guest, an expert dating coach, and a man that has truly mastered life and unlocked abundance in all areas of life. I'm honored to be joined by the legendary Alex León. Alex, my
Thank
man,
you. It's
how
a
you
nice
doing?
intro. I'm
Thank
honored.
you.
I'm good. I wish the viewers could see this, but we have this absolutely incredible view right now.
Mm,
We're looking over a bunch of sailing yachts, bunch of Turkish hills and mountains, but right behind there's Greece. So I feel fucking amazing.
dude, this place is great. Now, just for all the viewers, there will be some B-roll, but Alex has been kind enough to invite me out to his villa here in the south of Turkey. We're in Bodrum, and we cross paths here, and it is absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful place. So, Alex, what are you doing out here in Turkey?
Uh, I'm just coming to the end of a 30-day monk mode. You know, the word monk mode has been floating around quite a bit on the YouTube scene now. I don't know who started it. Um, which means 30 days with me, five guys in a beautiful villa, which is not that expensive
Mm.
in off season because we're in Turkey. Usually, this is a tourism place from May to September, but now it's March, so I got a pretty good deal. And that means six guys in a villa doing only work. Um, I feel like a lot of people think they work really hard, including myself, but the reality is life is full of distractions and also full of excuses. So I want to create a place where we strip out 90% of the distractions, which could mean stuff like, running errands, cooking, cleaning, organizing stuff, quickly picking up something from the post office. My buddy locked me out, or quickly I need to, you know, the call center, or I'm in the support line, or quickly this email, all this other stuff, or I need to go to his birthday. We still don't have a gift, like endless list. So we're cutting all that out for 30 days. And excuses we're cutting out as well by being here together.
Mm.
A lot of dudes are full of shit in the sense of, again, they think they work really hard, including myself, but the brain is really good at coming up with excuses,
Mm.
and we can keep each other accountable here. So I
Mm.
really love the setup of beautiful location, boring like city at that time of the year, and multiple guys who all working on something who keep each other
Mm.
accountable.
And obviously, in your line of work, that's massively important to be able to focus because the other half of the year, you're in beautiful places, surrounded by beautiful people, beautiful women, doing beautiful things, enjoying the spoils of life. So, how has this monk boat been for you? I know that this is something that you do frequently, growth houses and
Hmm.
things like this. So, how has it been for you? How's it been for your team? Um,
Yeah, incredible. This is basically kind of the third time I'm doing a setup like this. The first time I was pretty blessed. One entrepreneur friend of me let me stay at his villa in Cape Town, and kind of showed me how it's done. I did one last November, and now we have March. I'm doing it again. It's been great. Surely the realization is also I should do this much more.
mm,
I still, it's not like I'm done, and I did everything I wanted to do. Uh, as you go deeper, you realize, damn, we should also build this, or I should make more content on that, or I should improve this funnel, or I should fucking do my accounting finally, or something like that. So there's always stuff to do, but I'm quite happy. I was quite focused, and again, it's that one guy put it really nicely last time. Basically, doing a setup like this, you're outsourcing your discipline.
mm,
You don't have to be that disciplined by yourself,
mm,
because just by seeing, I don't know, three of the other dudes leaving to the gym, you're like, I might as well come.
mm,
You don't have to overthink stuff. Or you see three other dudes working on their laptop still at 9 p.m., you're like, okay, I might as well also get that last bit done. So it makes it easier. And you're absolutely right. With the work I do now, often, uh, yeah, I need very disciplined focus to move the needle on certain things. I'm not like a work per hour guy anymore.
mm,
Sure, I worked at Starbucks when I was young and in a hotel. It doesn't really matter if you're super focused when you're at Starbucks. You can basically go in autopilot mode.
mm,
But now I have to perform. I'd have to be in front of the camera or deliver really good coaching in my group sessions or in my one-on-one sessions that really change somebody's life, or at least make people think when they watch my YouTube video. So I need this, yeah.
So that's massive, being around this like network of accountability where it's six guys, no distractions, work, 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 work. So that really sets you up for the future. So then you can enjoy, the spoils of life. You allow yourself to, be able to do nice things. So that's massive. So now that we've touched on monk mode, let's talk about you a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it seems like you've unlocked and achieved abundance in all areas of life. To me, that means, being able to travel. I know you travel a lot. You're doing beautiful things with beautiful people. Like I said, you're surrounded by wealth and abundance and beautiful places, doing beautiful things. So, what I want to ask now is about your zero to hero story.
Hmm.
When people see, a young guy like yourself out here, living this life, having this abundance of, this beautiful life and wealth all around and beautiful women and living the like rock star lifestyle, what they usually think is it's just another dickhead that has daddy's money, or
Yeah.
perhaps oh, born into wealth, like pff, I can't do that. He was born into a wealthy family in a better position. So how did that come about for you? Where did you start and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, I'm honored now when people comment on my videos that I'm a trust fund kid. I'm like, yes, I'm finally making it.
That's how you know.
People think I have a rich daddy. I'm doing something right. So it's not the case. I'm grateful for that as well. Actually, I'm happy that I'm not a trust fund kid. I grew up in Austria, rural areas of Austria. Quite humble. Obviously, Austria is a first world country, so
Mm.
yes, I am blessed. Right, I have a great passport.
Were you a
Um,
painter?
a what?
Painter?
Why a painter? The
There's a
shirt.
few people who get that.
Okay. Because of
Oh.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah,
No,
he was a painter.
another guy from Austria.
An artist painter. Because I think Schwarzenegger was a building painter.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, but I know now who you mean. So I grew up there. Went to just normal growing up. It's insane to me now to look at like 14-year-olds dance on TikTok or 15-year-olds commenting on business YouTube channels of like, I'm 15, you gave me hope again to restart my career and to start my online business, and I'm gonna be a millionaire by 17. Thank you. Like, I'm just like, that's crazy. Like, when I was 15, I was just, fucking Austria, running in the woods, playing with sticks, and it's fine. I think that's a good childhood. And then eventually moved into another city during the week, which was like a pretty good high school in terms of like reputation in Austria, because it was very technical. The people who were in that school usually got really good engineering jobs. Um, so I was like, cool, I'm an Austrian. I should focus on career. I should focus on a good degree. Visited several schools, chose that one, made a good impression, and studied for 5 years from 15 to like 19 years old. Engineering, electronics, programming in high school. Like it's an extra year because it's like very focused on getting a job right after. The problem is there's only dudes in this school, pretty much, like 90%, right? Uh, and on top of that, I was from Monday to Friday locked into this boarding school. All my friends were male. All we did was play soccer, play video games, watch, How I Met Your Mother or The Simpsons or whatever. And then on Saturday, I would come home to my parents, but I wouldn't be like in a social mood to like meet girls at a bar. Like I didn't even know what to do. So I would just sit in my room, play online poker, work on my website, fiddle around with PHP or anything. And that was 5 years. So in all that time, when usually guys would improve their social skills, maybe travel a bit during the summer, get their girl's first girlfriend, lose their virginity, experiment stuff, create maybe events together with other dudes, invite girls, fucking go to the lake, rent a boat. I don't know, whatever people do in their teens. I didn't do any of that. Um, so only when school ended, I had to catch up. And then I kind of had the choice: should I keep focusing on career, on making a lot of money, or being high status in a certain company, or do I want to become a better communicator? Do I want to know how to talk to girls? Because I basically had to admit to myself I'm really bad.
Mm.
Um, I don't know how to attract women into my life. I'm relying on my environment. You know, sure, here and there I would meet a girl because I was invited to some party or a birthday party, and then I wasn't like a total like nerd when somebody sits next to me, but I didn't know how can I reach out and meet girls? How can I say hi on the street? How can I say hi on the bar? And it was just brutal to admit to myself I have no idea and I don't even know where to start. Um, so that was the first part of that journey.
Mm.
Just this brutal realization that I suck at suck at social skills.
So you had the intelligence there, and you know, were book smart. You were doing engineering, programming, probably a little geek at home, you know,
Yeah.
just sitting on your laptop. But then you realize that you know, you come out into the real world,
Hmm.
and your social skills are at an absolute zero because, you know, I imagine you had your boys there for the 5 years, same group, same people, never, you know, meeting anyone new. So then you realize when you come out, you know, out of that school, out of that environment, your boys are no longer there.
Mm.
You're like, you know, oh shit, you know, I'm lonely. There's people in relationships. There's, you know, perhaps, you know, business opportunities coming my way. You know, I have to go out and, you know, get a job or something, but you're just not able to communicate, you know, the right way with people. So that's
Yeah,
massive.
and it's
So,
kind of a brutal realization because I talked about this in a recent video on my channel. School solves your social circle for you,
mm,
right? You don't need to think, oh, how do I meet people today? You just go to school and they're there. So that's a beautiful like setup. School ends, you get your degree. You know, half the people move to a different city, a quarter gets into a relationship, or I don't know, moves in with their girlfriend, another one gets a job and suddenly works really hard, or moves back to their parents, and suddenly you're alone. So you go from like 100, from a 10 out of 10 social vibes, 10 hours a day with your classmates,
mm,
soccer after school, even if it's just guys, right? To a 1 out of 10 where suddenly it's your responsibility to create your own social circle and vibes and events every week. So that was also a thing of like, fuck, like, you know, I'm alone now. And
mm,
I guess a lot of people feel that way now, especially now where you also could work from home. You know, like your next social circle would be your your mates from the office and the occasional flirt with the secretary maybe,
mm,
if you're lucky. But now you work from home as well. So it's even more, yeah, it's just kind of a dark reality now.
mm. So when you found, you know, that realization out, that brutal, brutal reality of, damn, I can't speak to other humans, which, you know, is such a central part of life,
Yeah.
you know, your social skills. It's, I think, arguably one of the most important things, you know, like if you're not able to communicate with other humans, you can't really do much unless, you know, the life path you're trying to go down is that geek locked in his little
Hmm.
cage, you know, like doing things online, but that's realistically not a good life. And, you know, for all the views out there, I'm sure it's not a life that many people want to live. So, what were some of the steps that you took when you realized this? I imagine it was a big hit to your ego, you know, especially like you said you had your mates in school, you said, you know, you're doing good at school, you did, you know, engineering programming, you were probably, you know, good at that field. What was it like when you realized that, you know, all this other central area of life, I'm at an absolute zero?
Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify. It's mainly it was about girls. You know,
Girls, okay.
it's nice to call it social skills, but really I want to get laid.
Mm,
And I was like, fuck. You know, it's fun and games to hang out with guys all the time because you know socializing with dudes is not that hard. We get along. We have the same way of thinking. We have the same language. We all can geek out about something. You know, like if I would be I don't know a nerd about programming AI tools right now, it would be easy to socialize with dudes. We
mm,
would just sit there, drink beer, or have a dinner and talk about it. I just didn't know at all how to get girls in my life. So that was the main stress. And just also realizing, like, trying to look 10, 20 years into the future and thinking, who am I going to share my wealth with, or who am I going to share my status with, or who, you know, like imagine I do everything that I've been told to do, which is get the career, get the job, maybe get a cool car one day, or a nice house, or the stability, or the freedom to travel, even like the cool stuff, right? Like travel to Thailand, book a cool villa in Bali, I don't know, even fly business class one time or whatever it is you're dreaming about. Like, imagine the actual reality of it. Of like, imagine everything goes great and your boss is like, "Good job, bro. Take 3 months off, right? Here's a bonus. You did such a good job. You're such a good employee." And then, treat yourself. Here's a business class ticket. And you go to the airport and then you check in and you're like, "Okay, now I can board faster." And you sit in business class and there's like people around you, like some people on a laptop, some couples. And then you arrive in Bali and you have a pickup with a Mercedes or whatever, and you sit in a Mercedes. You're like, okay. And then you check into the villa, and the guy shows you the villa, and you're like, that's nice. And you're just sitting there in your beautiful villa, just coming out this cool flight, and you're like, then you get your phone and start swiping on Tinder. It's just
Yeah.
like, even the dream is not really a dream if you do it alone.
Mm.
And I must have had that vision somehow. And I was like, that sucks. Like, I would rather get laid more often. And I went out the streets. I was living in Vienna at that time, and I would try to just say hi to girls. And I failed. And the next day I tried again, and I failed. And the next day I tried again. And after like 2 weeks of like sometimes trying, saying like quickly hi, but being shy, trying to give a compliment, but it was kind of weird, and my voice was shaking. Like, "Hi, nice." Um, I was like, okay, this is this is now the thing I should focus on.
Mm.
So out of all the things, sport, career, fitness, I was like, this is the thing I have to focus on.
So just to move away from that for a second, the social skills, to like truly answer the question,
Hmm.
the grandiose theme of daddy's money and,
Yeah,
he was born into a, how did that career come about? What were you doing at the time? How did you go from playing in the woods with sticks
yeah.
to, being in a place of abundance and actually having, the time and money to, put into social skills and really level
Uh,
up?
well, that's another excuse people have. That at that time I was in Vienna. I just quit uh, die Technische Universität, which is the technical university. I was doing programming.
Mm.
I attended some classes. It was so hard. I quit after a year. I took a stop job at Starbucks. I made 750 euros a month. My room in my shared flat in Vienna was 280 euros with three other people, two girls and one guy. I remember I had a small room, 280. So that left me about 500 a month to live. So that's like, what is that? 15 euros a day. So yeah, you can buy groceries for 7, 8 euros a day.
Yeah.
Like one of those big packs of Palatschinken. How do you say that? Frittatensuppe. I don't know. Only German viewers would get that. But that's this big soup, and you could buy it for like 150. That's like 6 meals, and you could buy rice and potato stuff. You could buy. I made some meat. Yeah, you can live off 7 euros a day,
Mm.
or 15 euros a day, and then when I would go out to drink, I remember I would just drink 5 beers at home with my buddies. One beer is like 60 cents.
Mm.
So you get pretty drunk for 3 euros.
Mm.
I would somehow skip the queue to make it into the club. And then I would just drink other people's drinks.
So there you have it. Like you do not need all this wealth and abundance
Yeah.
to take the steps to work on your social skills. So just to expand on that a little. So you said that at the start you started coming up to random chicks on the side of the street,
Yeah.
saying hi with your shaky voice, absolutely zero confidence. I imagine some sort of low self-esteem issues there if you're
Yeah.
not able to even say hello to another human, forgetting the fact that, oh, it's a girl, whatever. How did you snap out of that? What was that like, light bulb moment, and what were some of the steps that you took to get out of that rut?
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep question. Self esteem for sure. And I think it's the it's the common suffering of all men of not feeling worthy of beautiful women.
Mm.
And I think that's all men's common suffering. I don't know, like a lot of the men I meet, that's just the thing. I rarely meet a man who's like, I'm worthy of every woman all the time, no matter who. Sure, probably there's some maybe delusional, and others are just extremely confident. So it's this worthiness issue of like, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. that you're faced with. Because like if I would be good enough, I would just talk to her, right? So I'm clearly not, because or I don't think I am, or I'm confirming to myself all the time that I'm not. And then why the fuck am I doing this? Why do I hate myself? So I could take this into many areas, right? Um, the answer to your question is, how do you come out of that rut? The brutal reality is you have to do the opposite. You have to prove yourself to you have to prove to yourself that you are worthy. How do you do that? By looking in the mirror and telling you're great, maybe a little bit, by journaling a lot, maybe a little bit, by talking to a therapist, sure, not bad, not a bad idea. But the reality is by just talking to a lot of girls, accepting that the rejection is a part of it, like if I talk to 100 girls, especially back then, most of them would not want to talk to me for too long or give me their number. So it is a part, and it's still a part. My closing rate is not 100% by far. So accepting that and just doing it literally hundreds of times, playing the numbers game as well, and understanding, oh shit, some girls actually do want to talk to me. If you do it often enough and you do it in a way that is not creepy, which you can learn, cutting out some bullshit, which I teach on my channel, um, girls will say yes to your invitations on a date, and then they will, show up, and then they will touch you, or you touch them, and it's okay. And then they will go home with you, and they will have sex, and then you do that a couple of times. Like, hey, maybe, now you have proof in the real world of there's 10 girls who slept with me, and they liked it, and they texted me after. Maybe I'm not so bad.
So that's a good position to start in, like
Yeah.
going back to that thing of daddy's money and being born into wealth. Quite the opposite there, actually, making under minimum wage in Starbucks and surviving on scraps pretty much,
Yeah.
and then proving to yourself in that position that, you're worthy of this and that you can, improve your social life and get girls. That's massive. So
Yeah, I
that's,
skipped ahead a bit. I mean, the real shift, also just to add on, is I found a mentor.
mm,
Like, I tried by myself. It was kind of cruel. As I said, right, I realized now I need to focus. And the real way of focusing was spending my weekends in Budapest. So that's like a 3-hour train ride. Because James, the founder of the Natural Lifestyles, he was living in Budapest at that time. And I was just like, that's the guy I want to learn from. He understands me based on his videos, right? Like, we all know that we have some people we resonate with on YouTube and others not so much. I really resonated with his style, and I was smart, right? I knew how to handle editing program, or I picked up skills really fast. So I offered my time for his coaching slash just being around him, because you can just absorb a lot just by being around people. And that's when it really clicked. Like, that's when I went from not even saying hi to doing 5-10 approaches every day for a longer period of time.
so I actually did not know that. So you're saying that you were a client essentially of TNL
A
before you
broke
got in,
client, I didn't have money, so I had to give my time. Yeah.
and now you are working with them very closely.
Yeah.
So how did it go from, just this brokey dude, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
trying to get some, essentially free coaching for his, services or whatever at the time? How did it go from that to now obviously, being a huge part of the whole channel?
um Many elements that play into that. I want to be careful, because sometimes people hear me say, oh, I just offered my work and then I became a 6-figure coach, or like, or I just showed up and said, James, I want to work for you for free, and he instantly said, sure, here's a job, right? That's not how it worked at all. First of all, he ignored my emails for like 2 months. Then he gave me like a strict deadline where I had to show up in Budapest within 5 days. And at that time, I was visiting my brother in Dubai, and I was like fucking flying over. And then that was still all 8 years ago, right? So I want to show the timeline of me eating shit for many years and consistently over delivering and sacrificing a lot of other stuff. Like, I basically then stopped going out. I stopped going to clubs and bars. I spent most nights editing videos in my bedroom. Um, so in a paradoxical way, I did less socializing working at the beginning for the Natural Lifestyles, which is a social company, because I just had so much work to do. Like, I didn't have time anymore to fucking spend the whole night in a club picking up girls. So I was eating shit for a long period of time. And then you learn, right? I edited like 200 or 300 videos. I soaked up all the content. I, after 4 years, started to coach guys a bit. Then I got better. That's already like 4 or 5 years ago now. So I'm obviously pretty solid at teaching people now as well. Um, so yeah, it just takes a long time, and you just have to show up. You have to sacrifice. You have to understand what you really want. You have to sometimes eat your ego. You sometimes have to, do things you don't want to do. It is hard work and consistently over delivering as well to get anywhere. Like you see it, I'm obviously around really successful people. Now I wouldn't even describe myself as that successful yet. I'm around people who, you know, are just insanely powerful, insanely successful, and especially financially. And you just see what it takes to win, and they just operate on a level that most people just not, and it just has a reason why they're there. You see it. So yeah.
So that's interesting how, you had to put in a couple years of work for them to actually start seeing potential, that, oh, well, perhaps he's got more in him than just a video editor
Yeah.
and someone offering services.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting timeline there. Speak to us about that, how you went just from that video editing guy and, offering these services to, James being like, oh, damn, well, this guy knows a thing or two. Like, so you went from zero social skills and not being able to pick up girls to now, seemingly having mastered it to the point where, you're now a figure of authority speaking about this.
Yeah. Um, taking some or not risks, I guess. I mean, I'm just a hard worker. I mean, it's a boring answer, but it's just like you just work your ass off, and you have ideas, but then also realize them. Like even the first meeting with James was like, I didn't just say, hey, maybe we should do photos or something, right? I was like, I booked the studio. Here's 5 outfits ideas that I sent you the day before. Here is a monitor, and I connect the monitor to the camera in the studio. I already set everything up. I show up at 8, you show up at 9. When you arrive, everything is there. Um, you just walk in, the lights are done. I had a stand in from the studio. Here is the connection to the camera. All looks professional, and I will deliver the photos with you within 24 hours. And I'll choose the best 5-1, and I will crop them for your website. It's just like versus I want to work for you.
Mm.
You got something? I'll work for free. I'm like, I work for free. It's like now I need to tell you how to do your job.
Mm.
Now you're not working for free because now you're costing me time explaining you how to do the job. I'd rather just spend money on somebody who knows how to do it already.
Mm.
Um, so obviously, and then how do I know all this photography stuff? Because I spent the week before watching YouTube tutorials on how to set up studio lighting, how to use this cable to connect it to a monitor, how to do Photoshop quickly, export shit fast, because I just sat down and did it.
Mm.
So it's a bit of a boring answer, which is like I just put in the work, and I have a very problem-solving mindset. Like you would rarely see me say, "Oh, I don't know," and then just stop there.
Mm.
Like I was always like, "Okay, so how do we do it? Let's find out."
Mm.
And then obviously there's fucking Google, YouTube. Now there's AI. Like anybody who tells me, "I don't know how to do this," I'm already not gonna hire that person because that attitude is gonna be a problem for years, and I just don't have that attitude.
So yeah, if you just don't know something and you say you don't know, it's nothing but a matter of laziness now because you can just learn literally anything on services like YouTube, from dating to,
Yeah.
like you were saying, photography in a studio, anything. You said that's a boring answer. I would say it's far from it because that, the approach that you took for James is so much different. What you're saying
Hmm.
is, like some of these guys, in your DMs and even my DMs, coming and saying, "Oh, hey, I'd like to work for you. What can I do for you?" Like, no, that's not the
Yeah.
approach to take. What you do is you set everything up, in a position so that the person can just, come into perhaps your world and you do some work for them, send it over quickly, get it done nicely, keep it professional, keep it concise. That's the way to do it. That's how you get someone's attention.
Yeah.
Because if you come to someone and just say, "Oh man, I love your work. I'd do anything to work with you," you're gonna get left on red.
Yeah, and it
You're gonna
just
get
shows
left.
they don't get it because I'm obviously very busy with. I mean, I'm running my own coaching. I'm running a bikini brand. I'm running other ventures. Like I don't have time to give somebody a job. Like if this person didn't figure out already what I need, then already that's already a sign that they don't get it. Yeah.
So we briefly mentioned TNL
Hmm.
and your history with that. So now I would like to speak about your role with TNL. I know that it's very, very different to a lot of pickup artistry
Hmm.
per se out there on the internet. It's a much different approach and it seems to work much better as well. So what is your role within TNL? How's it been working, with TNL? And what is the approach that makes it so much different to the usual out there?
You mean role as in my position in the
Your
company?
position, yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of like transition through each department over these 8 years, right? Photography, video editing, web development, sales, coaching. Now overseeing the editing team. So I'm luckily don't have to edit videos myself anymore. So I'm checking in on the guys. I'm checking on the finances. Making kind of the big decisions. So being more freed up with daily work, but kind of like the big vision stuff. And then the main thing is coaching, like helping guys transform their dating life, helping guys get dates, helping guys feeling worthy, proving to themselves that they are worthy. So that takes time because within TNL, I'm now also building my own content. James always has been an incredible mentor in so many areas like seduction, approaching. Then he went hard into masculinity and initiation type of stuff, meditation and connecting, tribal stuff, super interesting. Now, especially in the last year or two, he went hardcore into sexuality, right? So BDSM, role play, tantra stuff, and much more. We have a whole big workshop on that. So that's cool, which kind of gives me the opportunity to talk about social media, how to build a network, how to be a digital nomad without being lonely, as I described before, um, how to be entrepreneurial while doing all this, how to travel lightly but still make money, right? So I kind of complete that whole setup there, which is great because that's why I love TNL always because we have such a holistic approach to life. It's just like it's not only about one thing
Mm.
always. So yeah,
Which is, I think, the most optimal approach you can take
yeah,
for life because anything that you focus on too much eventually at a certain point gives diminishing returns. So, if you're only focused on picking up chicks, getting chicks, I have to get chicks, I have to get laid, that just burns you out.
yeah,
Same with, for example, in my line of work, if someone's only thinking about the gym and what they're going to eat, and, it eventually ends up doing them bad,
of
in the
course.
long term, it's everything is only a part of, this big thing that is life. So, you have
And you
to.
need times where you do focus on one thing because otherwise, again, you're distracted and you kind of don't do anything, right?
Mm,
So in this month, I'm not doing any socializing with girls. I don't talk to any women. I don't have sex at all. I don't think about, yeah, my style. I'm usually in a hoodie all day long. Cool, fine. Because I can make massive progress on one area and then I do massive socializing again, and then I
mm,
do massive fitness again because maybe 1 month I focus only on my body. So I love those short periods of bursts. I think that's a way better way to live than Monday to Friday and then weekend we're having fun.
mm,
Like I would rather have no fun. I love working, so it is fun. But like I have no socializing for a month, and I'm still actually social because I'm living with guys. But you know what I mean? Like push really hard 1 month here, 1 month there. I think you get 10 times more done that way than trying to do a little bit here, a little bit there, and then ultimately you can build a strong, holistic lifestyle that way.
I was speaking with one of the guys here, and what I said was a good life is a mix between monk mode and manic mode.
Yeah,
So you have your
I
monk
would
mode,
agree.
you're in here, you're in the villa, you're working, putting in 10-hour shifts, getting as much done as possible, zero distractions. And then once you get that work out of the way, you take advantage. Like we were saying, you enjoy life because, you can't just spend your life working, because eventually at the end of the day, when you're coming to your last days, which we all will, you're not going to think about, oh, that day I put in 12 hours of work. You're going to think about that hike you went on with your family,
Yeah,
with your boys. You're going to think about that, beautiful time you had with that significant other that, or, like just the spoils of life.
Yeah, it will be about the relationships you build, you know, with men and with women on that path for sure.
So now we have touched on TNL just a little tiny bit, but I want to expand on
Yeah.
that again more.
Hmm.
So TNL as a company, the approach, TNL, the natural lifestyles, it's a lot more different to any of this pickup artistry stuff, acting like a clown in front of a woman,
Yeah.
juggling oranges to try and pick up women, or, doing all sorts of things in order to seem like you're this guy, but you're not actually that guy. Whereas the TNL approach is becoming that guy.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
it's a lot more holistic. It's starts internally. It's not like an external chase. It's more of like a internal pursuit of like figuring out who you are as a man, knowing your worth, bringing up that confidence and self-esteem, and then going from there. So how does TNL differ from your typical?
Yeah, I guess it's about adding things versus subtracting things. So you take a guy who already doesn't feel like he's good enough, which is almost every guy at some point in his life. And then one way of dealing with it is you add things on top, like you said. Maybe you just put a cool suit on him. All right, that will do, right? Or you teach him a few tricks, or he does card tricks, or he does some peacocking, or he learns some pickup lines, or he really fixes his Tinder profile. He hires a photographer and photoshops all the photos and fakes, I don't know, his career in the profile. Now you're adding a lot of things and you're hoping that it works. And the thing is, it does work to an extent, right? Like me too. I've read the game early on. It inspired me. I tried some peacocking early on in like bars. Um, I did a lot of that stuff, and if you do it, you get some results. So I'm not against it for guys to get started. But at the end of the day, you're still this little child beneath all of this stuff you added on top.
It's like that itch in the back of your head. You know
Yeah.
that you're lying to yourself, and
Yeah.
that's not the way to do it. Eventually, that balloon is gonna pop,
Yeah. It will
and
come
the
crashing
truth
down.
will, come out. Especially when you're hanging around with a lot of chicks.
Yeah.
Girls have a beautiful intuitive sense of being able to tell, oh, this guy is faking
Absolutely.
it.
The hotter the
This
girl, the
like,
more she will be like, this guy's full of shit, right? Like, that's the thing. You basically capped at the level of women you can get with that type of stuff. But okay, if it gets you started, whatever. Now, I knew this is not it pretty quickly, and then I searched for a new approach. I found James. So, what we do is we subtract stuff. So we take all of this away, and we're just like, who are you? Which is a really difficult question. Who are you and what do you want? um, and the answer is this endless pursuit for many people. I mean, I guess all philosophy books out there are written about what is life, right? Who are you as man? What is our purpose? What is our mission? What are we here to do? So I'm not by far educated enough on answering that, but I do know that hot women are attracted to guys who are being themselves, whatever themselves mean, and usually the way you are most yourself is by taking all this other bullshit away. They really value a guy who is authentic, unfiltered, and that can even be rude sometimes, but you can make it up, right? Like you can offend someone, but then realize you offended them and fix it in the moment, which shows you say what you mean, you're honest, you're direct, you don't have a filter, and then you also have the calibration skills to be in tune with the other person and check in with them again, right? So now you already portrayed a lot of masculine stuff instead of being the nice guy who's like, I has all these layers of I don't want to offend anyone, I don't want to seem like this, I want to seem like that, I want to seem like the good guy, not the bad guy, da da da. She sees through that, and now you're nobody. You're not being yourself. You're just trying to copy someone. So I was always fascinated with that approach of putting myself out there, being myself. Obviously, I also talk about sure have a good style. Of course, work on your body. Of course, have some career. Don't be a bum, right? Of course, you know, travel and impress and I talk a lot about being cool on social media, having an archetype on social media, putting yourself out there. So I'm not saying you should only approach in a hoodie and sweatpants because that's your most self, because that's how you're at home. But at the end of the day, it starts with your character, your charisma, how you see yourself, and how you are able to look at a woman's eyes. And can you hold that eye contact? And are the first words that come out of your mouth something you just made up, or that you just repeat from someone else? Because that's where it starts, and that's what she will kind of value you on.
I really like that approach. You saying that, it's about being authentic, and that means a lot of different things, about a lot of different people, because everyone realistically is going to be different.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very healthy approach, because a lot of what you see out there nowadays tells you, you must do this. This is the only way to do it. You have to do this, or you have to be a billionaire. All the like Tate types, even going into that side of the internet. There's only one way to do it, and chicks are only attracted to this. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, also because
You
people
know?
have to understand, a guy like Tate, he is, I don't know how old he is, 36, 37, 38. Um, he he went through different phases in his life. He was a kickboxer. Obviously, he built his body through that,
Mm.
right? He built confidence through that. If you watched old videos of him, he was very charismatic early on. The way he talked in interviews early on, um, you just see this guy is confident. He's a way of talking. Then he showed up in TV shows already, so he's clearly has strong eye contact. Like somebody who's good in camera is often also good at talking to people because he can, I can distill sentences. You can express yourself. It's all part of charisma. Then he made business success, and so that took him like 15 years. And now people are like, oh, I should just make money. Like, no, that was like the last final piece that got him to that whatever level he's on now. I'm sure he was fucking charming when he was 19 already. So okay, he worked on other stuff. Problem is most people don't never work on their charm, or they're just not as charismatic, or they never had a mentor, or they never had this cool uncle, or this other inspiration, or this the right environment to express themselves, and then they're trying to fix that with money, and then they're 47, have a million in the bank, and then they or 10 million or 100 million, whatever. I know all of these types. They sit in a bar, they want to talk to a girl, and the girl is just bored out of her mind in 30 seconds, and he's like, oh,
I have a
somebody
hundred
told
million.
me.
I
Yeah.
have 100 million. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big theme. Money accelerates who you are at the end of the day. If you're a chump and you have no money, then you get a bunch of money. You're still a chump.
Yeah.
So working on money is only like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
You have to work on yourself, and that's vastly more important. Because say you win the lottery tomorrow, like I'm saying, you're just not right up here. You're just gonna have 10 million in the bank, but not be right up
Probably
here at
gonna
the end of
spend
the
it.
day. So yeah.
If you don't know how to handle a lot of money, then you will spend it anyway if you win the
Mm,
lottery tomorrow. Yeah.
So just to move away from all of this, I would like to talk about modern dating. Obviously,
Mhm.
you're an expert men's dating coach. So this is something you're very passionate about, I imagine. So what would you say the modern day dating market is like nowadays?
Uh, rough,
Minefield.
rough. It is rough, man. Uh, I'm not. Yeah, let's say I'm almost grateful that I grew up in a not so digitalized world, and I'm still young, and now everything's so digitalized. So that's kind of the point, right? Everything is digital,
Mm,
and people do stuff digitally. They order stuff digitally. They order their food digitally, and they date digitally.
mm,
So what does that mean? It first of all means they try to find their partner now online, or not even. They just have a fake online partner, which means online porn, watching a lot of movies, series, YouTube. Having like these one-sided relationships with somebody famous. So they don't even know how to talk face to face anymore. Now they want to get laid. They open dating apps. And I don't have a problem with dating apps per se. I use them here and there, but I always say it should be 5 to 10% of your like
Strategy.
score, yeah, of your
Yeah.
strategy of how to meet women. If it's 10% Tinder and it's 40% street approach and 50% social circle, great. Problem is for most people it's 100%, right?
Because people don't have the balls now to come up to
Yeah,
someone, which is like a big theme of what we've been chatting about all along.
no balls, no strategy, no social circle, not the right environment. So now they're relying 100% on this app that is made by a few programmers and business people in probably LA or wherever Tinder is and Bumble and with their own agendas and mainly for-profit companies,
Mainly used by guys as well.
mainly used by
I
guys,
I
of
would
course.
say 80 to 90%
Yeah,
dudes.
because we're all horny, right? So we want to get laid. So now you're just in the under control of this algorithm. Hopefully, it's blessing you. It doesn't. The only time it does is when you put your credit card in, because then it's like, quickly, let's give him some dopamine. So we train him that when he puts his credit card in, he will get the hot girls, and then give him some fake matches. Like, who knows if the hot girls that here and there match you are even real? If I would be the CEO of Tinder, I would make fake hot girls accounts, and every time somebody gives me $50, I would match him with one of them, because then I train him, right? Like, why not? Then I train him that spending money leads to the chance to meet a hot girl,
Dude,
and he's like,
that's so interesting that you say because with the
it's the first thing I
recent
would do if I would be CEO of Tinder.
recent advancements in AI, you don't even know what's possible out there. So if this guy ever releases a dating app, be very,
Yeah,
very
we were,
questionable.
I would profit. I'm a businessman doing business. No, so that's horrible when you actually want to have a real connection. And I think the other problem is just how normalized Tinder and online app is now. Like, luckily, 10 years ago, it was still a bit weird when you met online. Now it's weird when you don't meet online. It's so
It
crazy.
almost feels weird coming up to someone and saying hello nowadays. Don't
It's
you find
weird
that?
now.
Like,
For millions of years, that was the only way to meet, was to go out and talk to someone or meet them at the dance or at the market or at buying oranges. And now it's suddenly weird.
and the funny thing is that, we come across hundreds and hundreds of these profiles of these hot girls
Yeah.
swiping,
Ding, ding, ding,
swiping,
ding.
swiping, more than any of our predecessors have ever
Yeah, we
seen.
all
We can
fucked.
see more beautiful girls than they did in their lifetime. But the funniest thing is that the statistics show that the men nowadays are getting way less pussy, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
than the people back then. So what's going on there? I saw something crazy like in the US, it's either 40 or 60%, not sure, excuse me, 40 or 60% of men in their early 20s are still virgins.
Yeah, under
And
30,
now
like half.
that,
Yeah.
you know, some people watching this podcast might say, "Oh, well, maybe they're just living traditional lives and maybe they don't want to break that until they're married." Well, that's very much not the case because when you look at the amount of people that watch things like porn or the amount of
Yeah.
people that are on Tinder,
Yeah.
they're not just abstaining. They cannot get laid. That's the issue there. That's the issue at hand. So it's a weird situation that we're in now.
And so it is rough. And that's the reality. And to be brutally honest, I think 90% of men, it sounds horrible to say, but I think they will just have a shitty dating life their whole life.
Brutal.
And it's gonna be brutal, and they're gonna get older and older, and they're gonna not find the woman they really want, and they're gonna be replacing, and they're gonna just have sex with girls they're not really attracted to, and they're gonna come in the condom, hopefully, and they're gonna hope the girl leaves, and then eventually they're so desperate that they just marry one of them. It's
Hard pill to swallow, but hearing something like this should be your call to action. This shouldn't upset you. This don't listen to this with your heart, listen to it with your brain. If you find yourself in this position, don't be a doomer about it. All hope is not lost. This simply means that now is a perfect opportunity, to get to work. Perhaps look into the TNO, something like that. Look into working with Alex.
exactly.
So yeah, so the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years for the dating market have been absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
So what would you say, we've touched on this, but what would you say are some of the main mistakes that men are making, aside from, completely forgetting real life and,
Hmm.
for the most part, focusing on Tinder or Instagram, the easy way out, where most men can't even get a match, let alone a message back, schedule a date? What are some of the other issues holding men back there on that side?
Um, Again, different ways I could answer this question. Y- I'll give you a few answers. One is take action, go out, talk to girls, right? I'm all for that. That's what I did. That's how I got where I am. But what is before that? I mean, Hamza talks a lot about this. Our testosterone levels are just fucked. So even if I tell a guy, you should go out and talk to, maybe he's just like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like slaying pussy. Like, I just want to stay at home and play video games. Which feels way better because I'm the hero of that story inside that computer, right? You have this character, you complete missions, you get the in-game currency, you're rich in that vibe or in that area. Cool. So I think we have to start there of environment and what it does to our body, which is again so fucked because we stay at home all day, we move way less, we're sitting all the time, and mainly our food is probably pretty shit. You probably way know more way you know way more about that than me, but clearly the stuff we put on our bodies is not the same that we did 100 years ago. It's all like designed. It's full of stuff we don't even understand. We don't know how body processes it. People don't read raw foods that much. They don't eat probably as much meat they need and minerals they need and vitamins and just real shit. So we all tired. We all sloppy, right? Mans are just weak, and of course they then don't go out to conquer and to talk to a girl and to want to like be a strong man, and they don't even have that idea of I want to be a good seducer. I want to fucking get chicks. I want to be at the top of my social circle. I want to organize something. I want to bring girls to my party. They're just like, I just stay at home.
It's an artificial life that we
Yeah,
live nowadays for the most part, and a lot of people are stuck
yeah,
in this. I like to call it a pasteurized life. You know how they take
that's right.
the good milk and then they
Yeah,
pasteurize it, and then
yeah,
so it's like a pasteurized life. Back then we had social connections and the thrill of the chase of the girl,
yeah,
the chase, for lack of better words, but like courting and going through that whole sequence. Whereas now you know
yeah. Just
if you're
turn on porn
able if you're able to, yeah,
or
porn
talk
for
to your AI
example. But
girlfriend.
if you're in the top 5% of men that get swiped on Tinder, you can just kind of pick a girl out of the mix there, and yeah, okay, meet up, have sex, okay. Like, there's two extremes to this. Either it's that or it's the life where you're just absolutely like an incel type, where you're just stuck at
Yeah.
home, you're playing these video games, and that's where you're making your moves.
So the first thing
So
you got to do is change your environment, because even if you're motivated, even if you have the right ideas, if you hang out with other lazy sloppy dudes, you're only gonna get so far. If you still live with your parents, you're only gonna get so far. If you live in a toxic city full of smog where everybody's angry, I had clients. I feel bad for them. They come from a city where they did approaches. They took my advice, and the women are just radicalized, and like
London.
uh, maybe. And I want to be careful here because I still believe truly in every city you can do cold approaching, and if you have the right approach and if you calibrate it, women will love it. I've had success everywhere where I did it, even if it's New York or LA or. But clearly there is a beginner phase, especially when you start cold approaching, which I think is the best thing you can do as a man to sharpen your sword. There's some cities where if you're not totally calibrated, some women might react badly and it traumatizes you as a man, right? Like if that's the fifth girl you talk to and she destroys you and calls you, I don't know, whatever, like a misogynist because you told her she's beautiful, I do understand how this is traumatizing for men. So get in an environment that supports your mission is, I think, the first most important thing, because otherwise your motivation only will get you so far.
So yes, your environment, it's not where you live, it's who you are as well.
Hmm.
I feel like your environment influences so many things that people don't even know. And especially with things like, Airbnb and Booking.com and cheap flights nowadays, it's so easy to change your environment. I
Yeah,
feel like so many men get stuck in this
yeah, they
trap
overthink
of,
it.
well, I have my 9 to 5 and I need to go here and I have my family here. And, oh, like, especially young guys, I'm a young guy myself. I deal with a lot of young clients, they're like, oh, well, why would I move out when I can live with my parents and not pay rent? Oh, it's so comfortable, why would I go out there? But like the value that you get from changing your environment to something that's more conducive to chasing your goals, you just can't put a price on it.
Yeah.
That's why things like, this monk mode growth house that you're doing right now, you cannot put a price on it. Like
Well, I
the
can actually.
value,
I did
well,
because
it's
I'm.
a symbolic price, let's say,
Some
because
guys are
the
no. I'm. It's a joke because I'm charging people to come here. I'm obviously have my core team, but because this is a 7 bedroom villa, it's me, my business partner, my assistant, and then there's 5 guys who pay to be here. So
but no
I
matter
put a price.
what that price is, the value
Yeah.
that you get from
Oh
being
yeah.
around a network like
The
this.
value is hopefully bigger than the
That's
price. Yeah.
exactly that's it. Like I was just saying with Matt there, say if something was to return you 10K, how much money would you put into it?
Less than 10.
Less than 10, but
Anything
what
less
does
than
that
10.
mean? There's some people that would say, "Oh, 1,000." But then the smart people will say, "Oh, if it's giving me back 10K, I'll put 9K into it. That's a grand back, guaranteed. That's a
True, there's no
thousand,
risk. Yeah.
easy money. Where's the risk? I'm 1,000 up than where I started, so got to look at it like that. So we've said now how vastly important the environment is, right? So the issue I feel as well now is with men, it's two extremes, right? Either they have zero strategy on approaching women, and that's when their social life just completely suffers. They don't know what to do. They get brain freeze when they see a beautiful woman in front of them. The second extreme is these PUA types. I'm not going to name any names, but like we were saying, acting like a clown in front of a girl to woo her, not being your authentic self, which
Mhm.
inevitably just ends up being bad. And, she can smell your bullshit from a mile away. What is, the kind of more optimal approach, would you say? I know this is something that TNL focuses on a lot. So what does that look like to you?
Really simple. I mean, it's literally going out your house, walking down the street, seeing a girl, walking up to her, getting her attention. Like, hello, excuse me. I know this might sound a bit too fast, but you look great today. How's your day? And that's it. Like, it really is that simple. And obviously, in that simplicity, you need to go out of your house, you need to approach a girl, you need to get her attention, you need to wave at her or say stop or hello or whatever. And then you have to tell her how she's beautiful. So you have to be honest. And you, in that, then you're risking that she says, ew, which doesn't happen that often. You're basically risking that she shatters your ego. So it is simple. It's not that easy. And literally do that 500 times and you will learn so much about yourself and about women. And, oh, just do that 500 times. Okay. Reality is, it is hard. I know it. I've been there. I've struggled to even do that one approach. Like, I would say 60-70% of guys who come work with me have not done a single proper cold approach in their life. And they tried and they realized they can't, and that's why they come to us, and that's perfectly fine, right? That's why we exist as a business. So, to put it on a point, what I advise guys is go out today, because why wait till tomorrow? Do that one time, and then if you are successful, do it again tomorrow or the same day. And if you can't do it, ask yourself why not. And if you don't have a answer that you can solve yourself, hire a coach. And if it's me or somebody else, I don't care. But that's it. It's just like, this is for me this pathway of where your life stays shitty or becomes better.
So it's almost just returning back to where we started. It's like we've pushed too far in this technology
Yeah.
side of things and everything's too artificial. And people are almost craving, that real authentic connection, especially the girls out there. I can't imagine a lot of girls would prefer someone, swiping on them on Tinder and saying, "Oh, yeah, you're so sexy. I love your photo." Like they would much rather be approached
I
in
mean, we say that
person.
on the first day. We tell the guys there is thousands or hundreds at least, no, thousands. There's thousands of girls in the city right now walking around who want to have sex with you. You just have to say hi to them.
And the best thing that happens is that, right, you meet a beautiful girl, you have a beautiful connection, it can turn out to be your wife. The worst
Yeah.
thing is she says thanks, have a nice
You
day.
wasted 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
And you didn't
So,
waste it because you learned something about yourself.
mm,
You overcame your demon. You proved to yourself, hey, I'm alive. I did that scary thing and I'm still alive. So actually, you learned a lot, even when she says no, or especially when she says no.
So men nowadays have to embrace the rejection side of things.
Absolutely. It's just like everything that's worth something in life comes from the fact that it's not easy to obtain. You know, like why is certain watch worth something? Because not everybody can have it. A certain car, because not everybody can buy it. A certain woman, because she's desired, or she doesn't fuck around with everyone, or she's just very beautiful and has a lot of attention. Um, and the same with that skill. You have to earn it, and it will show. Same with a beautiful body, right? Like, why is an aesthetic body a status symbol? It's so crazy. I've seen this clip on, I don't know, Instagram last week. There's a tribe. I don't know if it's real. Better look it up. But there's this tribe in Uganda, and then once a year they have this festival where they choose the most beautiful men, and men prepare for it for months. And the way they prepare for it is they drink blood and milk and like honey for months to get really fat. They get as fat as possible, and the fattest man is the most beautiful one, and then he will be celebrated and gets like the hottest wife. And I was like, wow, that's insane.
Like backwards to here.
Yeah, because obviously everybody there is skinny
Yeah.
and has a strong body because they're working outside all day, and then getting fat must be this crazy luxury thing of like, wow, you know, I mean, it's yeah, it's not totally new that like big guys or like that's a kind of like a status symbol to be able to be fat because it means you don't have to work. These days, everybody's fat. An aesthetic body means you're disciplined, you worked really hard, you pushed through, even if we didn't feel like going to the gym or working out. You still did it. It shows a lot of masculine traits. So, same with you talk to a lot of women, you are super confident, you can look at her, you can escalate, you can touch her, you kiss her at the right moment. And if you don't, you're still okay. All this stuff needs to be earned. You cannot buy it, you cannot inherit it. Nobody can just give you charisma in that sense. Sure, we're all born with different characteristics and genetics, but it's also the realization that you can learn it. That was the big shift for me. Even reading the game, right? I know it's like PUA stuff, but then especially with stuff like James, like you're not just born an introvert and that's what you are for life. Oh, you're an introvert, therefore you will never date hot women because you're an introvert, and that personality test said that's your characteristics, and therefore you will never have a hot wife. And I'm just like, fuck that. So that was a big mindset shift that helped me just say, I can learn that. It's not going to be easy, but there's a way.
That is massive, man. I absolutely love the TNL approach where it's not like learning off lines and tricks and manipulation. It's just being yourself. Like you didn't even say anything past saying hello to the girl. It's about who you are
Yeah.
and what your, like mission is per se. Say hello, take it from there. If you're a strong, like conservative archetype of a man, take it that way. If you're a little more, for example, creative and artistic and goofy, for lack of better words, take it that way. Just be yourself, let your personality shine through. That's a very healthy, holistic approach to this minefield that we're in nowadays.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've covered that very, very well. So now, just for the last couple of minutes, I would like to move on to what you are doing right now. So firstly, I know that you're traveling a
Hmm.
lot. You're seeing the whole world. You're flying out of
Parts.
here tomorrow,
Yeah.
so you're getting out of here quick in and out. So I would like to hear you expand on why it is you do that. Why do you travel the world, like, and the importance of doing that, you know.
Um, I wouldn't want it any other way. Um, Obviously, the world is a beautiful place. You know, it's incredible uh, to see different countries, different architecture, different landscapes, different um, winter here, spring here, and so on. So it's just like, why would I not? Right? Like, I will die one day, and why not squeeze the juice out of life as much as possible? It's like, it's insane to me to not do that. Like, it's so obvious to me, and that has always been the case. Like, I always wanted to experience life it just eventually I realized I also wanted with cool people in my life, which means dudes I vibe with. Because in high school, go a little bit back, I always felt a bit out of place. Like even with humor, even with the way guys treat each other in class or after school, I always felt a bit like, is that really it? Is that how men work together? And then that was also why I lasted so long in the natural lifestyles, is that it feels like my family, where I can be 100% myself. So maybe for guys watching this who are thinking like, I don't feel like myself in my social circle, I feel like I don't belong, you're probably right, and it's your job to find a circle where you do belong, where you can feel yourself. And you have to understand there are people out there right now that you can meet through the internet. You have this incredible tool of manifesting people in your life. They're out there, you just have to find them. So jumping back, guys and women. I wanted to meet women. I understand. I want to travel the world. It's just so much better to fucking rent a car and have a sexy girl sitting next to you. You stop at a beach. You take a swim. You go into the woods. You have sex or whatever. And yeah, just being around women. So I love life and it's fun, and obviously you just have to sacrifice a bunch of other things, right? We talked about this before recording. I have to pack all my life into 1 or 2 suitcases all the time. I always say hello and bye. I don't have a home in that sense. I have many homes and none, but and I'm still young, right? I also have the realization of when I'm 55, I'll be less agile, probably less active. I will appreciate a stable one home more. Now is the time for chaos.
It's time for like just the hero's journey,
Yeah.
and it's good to be able to discover that. I feel like many men nowadays, like we were saying, are just pushed into a box and have their whole life laid out for them, which could never be
Yeah.
you or me or us, people probably watching this as well. And if you are watching this and you feel like your life is, being laid out for you, and yeah, go to school, then go to school again, then go to university, then have this job, then find a wife, and then die, like that should be an itch for more, that should be like a burning desire inside your stomach to, just go out and do something. And, realistically, anything's possible. You can go from Starbucks, in Vienna, to now being in Turkey looking over, all the Greek islands here, and actually living and curating a life that you enjoy, that other people respect. And, you can just attract people and guys and like-minded people and girls, so it's all possible.
It really is. That's crazy.
Walking example here. So, Alex, I guess we'll be wrapping this up now.
Thank
This
you.
has been an absolutely amazing podcast, and I'm just so thankful that you've invited me out to this villa here.
Pleasure. Thanks for, I put out on Instagram and you show up. So who shows up and
Nobody,
delivers will be rewarded.
nobody does it like me, man. Zap, take that opportunity. So this has been absolutely amazing. I feel like I've learned and absorbed a lot from you, hearing the way you speak, especially the way you think now. Going from where you were to what you are now. So yeah, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
once again, my man. This
All
has
right.
been absolutely amazing. And for all the listeners, this has been Fundamental Wisdom Podcast, episode 7, with Alex León from the Natural Lifestyles. This was a fabulous conversation, and I hope you enjoyed it all. And yeah, have a good Sunday. Take it easy now.
Peace.
Ciao, ciao.